Have you noticed how some people walk into a room and everyone turns to look at them? It's not their appearance, it's not their status. It's something deeper, more magnetic. It's the mystery they project. And today, I'm going to reveal how you, even if you're shy, can create that same power of attraction. Get ready, because what you're about to learn will forever change the way you connect with others. Most people make the mistake of believing that to stand out, they need to talk more, be more extroverted, share everything about themselves. But Neil Strauss, after years studying the masters of seduction, discovered something surprising. True magnetism is born from strategic silence, not constant noise. And it's this principle that we'll explore together in the next few minutes. Imagine completely transforming your social presence without having to become someone you're not. Imagine generating intrigue and fascination while saying almost nothing. This is the art of irresistible mystery, and you're about to master it. The first powerful concept you need to understand is what Strauss calls the value of emotional scarcity. Think about it this way. What do you value more, something you can easily have or something that's rare, scarce, difficult to obtain? When you're emotionally available all the time, when you respond immediately to every message, when you're always there for everyone, you become common. And what's common, by definition, isn't fascinating. Neil Strauss expressed it perfectly. What's easy to obtain is perceived as less valuable. This is a deep psychological truth that operates silently in all our interactions. Think about that person you know who's always busy, who doesn't always respond to your messages immediately, who seems to have a fascinating life beyond your interaction. Don't you feel more curious about them? Don't you find yourself wondering what they might be doing? This happens because you've created a narrative about them in your mind. You've filled in the blank spaces with your imagination. And therein lies the power of mystery. It's not what you show, but what you leave to the imagination. Right now, I want you to do this exercise with me. Think about the last time you responded immediately to someone out of fear of losing their interest. Take a deep breath and repeat after me, "My time is valuable. My attention is a gift." Because when you start treating yourself as someone valuable, others do the same. The problem is that many of us live in a state of excessive availability. We're constantly connected, always responding, always reacting. And this not only drains our energy, but drastically diminishes our social attractiveness. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to have supernatural control over social environments with barely any effort? They're not playing the same game as you. They're playing a completely different game, and that's what we'll talk about in the next point. The second transformative principle is what Strauss calls the power of conscious silence. This isn't the silence of the shy person who doesn't know what to say. This is the silence of the strategic observer, the one who chooses when to speak and when to remain quiet. In a world where everyone is competing to speak, the one who knows how to listen becomes the center of gravity. Strauss observed that great seducers aren't necessarily the ones who talk the most, but those who make others feel interesting. And how do they achieve this? Through full presence, selective attention, and above all, the strategic use of silence. When someone asks you a question, do you respond automatically? Next time, try this. Pause for 3 seconds before answering. Maintain eye contact. Breathe. Feel how the tension in the air increases. That moment of suspension, that empty space, creates a magnetic charge between you and the other person. Suddenly, your response, whatever it may be, carries greater weight. Neil Strauss explained it this way. Silence isn't the absence of communication, but a more powerful form of it. When you talk constantly, you're giving away all your power. When you learn to move comfortably in silence, you force others to fill that void. And in that moment, you have control of the interaction. Think about those conversations where you've felt the need to fill every second of silence, where you've shared more than necessary just to avoid that uncomfortable moment. What if instead of fearing that silence, you started using it as a tool? What if instead of being the one who fills empty spaces, you become the one who strategically creates them? Right now, I want you to stop and visualize your next social interaction. Imagine yourself maintaining silence for longer than feels comfortable. Feel it. Breathe into it. Remember, silence isn't your enemy. It's your most powerful ally. If you're someone who's been practicing conversation techniques and tips for better speaking, perhaps it's time to shift your approach, because mastering the art of silence can be more transformative than all conversation techniques combined, and now we'll see why in our third principle. The third revolutionary idea is what Strauss describes as breaking the pattern of availability. We all develop behavioral patterns that people around us learn to anticipate. We're the ones who always answer on the first ring, who are always available to help, who never say no. And these patterns, though they make us seem kind and helpful, deeply undermine our ability to generate intrigue. True intrigue arises when you break these established patterns. When the person who always responds immediately suddenly takes time to answer. When the one who always says yes occasionally says no. When the one who's always available suddenly becomes selective with their time. Neil Strauss discovered this by interviewing the best. Predictability kills attraction. Unpredictability feeds it. And we're not talking about childish games or manipulations. We're talking about reconnecting with your own value, establishing healthy boundaries, reclaiming your time and energy as something precious. Have you noticed how some relationships in your life seem unbalanced? Where you always give more, try harder, are more available. The hard truth is that this imbalance exists because you allow it, because you've trained the people around you to expect your constant availability. Do this exercise right now. Identify a relationship in your life where you feel you're always giving more. Now visualize a small action you can take to create some space, taking longer to respond, being less available, saying no to something you would normally say yes to. Do you feel that internal resistance? That fear of disappointing, of not being enough, of being abandoned? Recognize it, and then consciously decide to break that pattern anyway. Because here's the paradox that Strauss discovered. The more you pull away, the more they chase you. The less available you are, the more they want you. Not because you're playing with others' emotions, but because you're honoring your own value. And if you're thinking this sounds manipulative, let me clarify. Manipulation seeks to control others for personal gain. What we're discussing here is how to stop manipulating yourself to please others. It's about reclaiming your power, your center, your peace of mind. And this leads us directly to our fourth principle, which is probably the most counterintuitive of all. The fourth transformative concept is what Strauss calls the art of strategic withdrawal. In the world of seduction and human relationships, there's a fundamental principle. Whoever has more options has more power. Not because they'll use that power to manipulate, but because an abundance of options allows you to operate from a place of choice, not necessity. Strategic withdrawal consists of pulling back when the dynamic isn't favoring you, when you feel you're giving too much, when the interaction begins to drain your energy instead of feeding it. It's the courage to say, "This isn't serving me," and take a step back. Neil Strauss expressed it brilliantly. Sometimes the greatest power is in walking away from the table, because when you withdraw, three important things happen. First, you recover your energy. Second, you create space for the other person to value you. And third, you break the cycle of emotional dependency that might be draining you. Think about that social situation or relationship where you feel you're constantly chasing, striving, trying to impress. What if for once you did exactly the opposite? What if instead of chasing, you withdrew? If instead of striving to be seen, you became temporarily invisible? This is a powerful exercise. The next time you're in a social situation where you feel anxious to be accepted or noticed, give yourself permission to withdraw briefly. Go to the bathroom, step outside for some air. Observe the effect your absence has. When you return, do so with a new presence, more centered, less needy for validation. Strauss discovered that most people operate from a place of emotional scarcity, constantly seeking approval, validation, acceptance. And this need, this hunger, is precisely what makes them seem unattractive, not mysterious. Because mystery, in its essence, comes from self-sufficiency, from not needing anything from anyone. Do you feel resistance to this idea? It's normal. We've been conditioned to believe that we always have to be available, that we have to respond, that we have to explain ourselves. But think about the people you respect the most. Aren't they precisely those who know when to withdraw, when to establish boundaries, when to simply say no? And this connects us perfectly with our fifth and most powerful principle, which is really where everything else makes sense and integrates into a new way of being. The fifth and most transformative principle is what Strauss calls the discipline of psychic energy. This concept, inspired by Jung's psychology, holds that our mental and emotional energy is a finite and tremendously valuable resource. And the way we distribute this energy determines not only how we feel, but how others perceive us. Most people scatter their psychic energy in every interaction. They react emotionally to provocations. They explain themselves when it's not necessary. They constantly seek approval from others. They get involved in dramas that don't concern them. And at the end of the day, they feel exhausted, empty, without understanding why. Neil Strauss synthesized it perfectly. Your energy is your most valuable currency. Invest it only where it generates returns. When you learn to conserve and direct your psychic energy, something magical happens. You develop a presence that others can feel even before you speak. You enter a room and, without saying a word, command attention. Have you noticed those people who seem to radiate calm and confidence? It's not coincidence or genetics. It's the result of careful management of their internal energy. They don't react to every stimulus. They don't feel obligated to respond to every provocation. They maintain their center even in chaotic situations. Right now, do this exercise with me. Think about the last week and make a mental list of all the situations that unnecessarily drained your energy. Arguments you could have avoided. Explanations you didn't owe anyone. Moments when you reacted instead of responding consciously. Can you see them? Now imagine how you would feel if you had conserved all that energy. Imagine how powerful your presence would be if you weren't constantly spending yourself on what doesn't matter. Strauss discovered that the great social seducers aren't necessarily the most charismatic or physically attractive. They're masters at managing their energy. They know exactly when to invest it and, more importantly, when to conserve it. If you want to generate true mystery and intrigue, start by becoming more selective with your energy. Don't respond automatically. Don't react impulsively. Don't be available to anyone at any time. Create an internal sanctuary where your energy accumulates and strengthens. Because when you learn to do this, you become a magnet for the people and experiences that truly deserve your time. And now imagine for a moment how your social life would change if you implemented these 5 principles: emotional scarcity, conscious silence, breaking patterns of availability, strategic withdrawal, and the discipline of psychic energy. Imagine how you would feel entering social spaces without that desperate need for approval. Imagine the relationships you would attract when operating from a place of internal abundance instead of scarcity. Irresistible mystery isn't a trick or technique. It's a lifestyle. It's a way of honoring your own value. It's recognizing that you don't need to be constantly available to be valuable. In fact, it's precisely your selectivity that increases your value in the eyes of others. And yes, at first you'll feel resistance. You'll feel guilty for not responding immediately, for not being there for everyone, for prioritizing your peace of mind over others' expectations. It's normal. You've been conditioned to believe that your value lies in how useful you are to others. But the truth is that your real value is in your ability to stay centered, to conserve your energy, to consciously choose where and with whom to invest your time. Neil Strauss discovered after years studying the masters of social seduction, true power isn't in what you do, but in what you choose not to do. It's not in what you say, but in what you choose not to say. It's not in who you chase, but in who you choose to walk away from. And now I want you to think about how you can apply these principles in your daily life. It's not about transforming overnight. It's about small adjustments, taking a little longer to respond to messages, creating more spaces of silence in your conversations, being a little less predictable, daring to withdraw when the situation doesn't serve you, conserving your energy for what truly matters. Irresistible mystery isn't created by adding more to your life. It's created by subtracting, eliminating the superfluous, creating space, learning the art of strategic absence. And when you master this art, something surprising happens. You no longer have to chase social or romantic opportunities. They begin to chase you. Because in a world where everyone is fighting for attention, where everyone is shouting, "Look at me, listen to me, validate me," the person who remains silent, centered, present but not needy, becomes an irresistible magnet of curiosity and fascination. And so we come to the end of our journey. We've explored the 5 fundamental principles of irresistible mystery according to Strauss. We've seen how true attraction isn't born from what you add, but from what you subtract, not from what you chase, but from what you dare to let go. The great truth we've learned today is that mystery isn't something you create. It's something you are when you stop chasing external validation and start valuing your own peace of mind above everything else. It's the natural result of honoring your time, your energy, and your presence as the valuable resources they are. And now I ask you a question. Are you ready to be misunderstood, rejected, or even criticized in the name of your inner freedom? Are you willing to pay the price of being yourself, of protecting your energy, of becoming selective with your time and attention? If this message has resonated with you, if you felt that spark of recognition, write in the comments, "I choose my peace." Let's see how many here are ready for this transformation, for this new path of mysterious authenticity. And if you've liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the upcoming episodes where we'll continue exploring the secrets of social influence and personal magnetism. Remember, true power isn't in what you chase, but in what you dare to let go. Until next time.